Can Brook bring people back to life? It may seem like a strange question, but let's investigate it. Hello everyone, welcome to A Theory in Action, the show where we theorize about unexpected and optimal actions within the world. In this episode, we're going to discuss whether or not Brook from One Piece can bring others back to life. So, for some baseline, Brook consumed the revive fruit, meaning upon death, he can come back to life, which begs the question, could he theoretically do the same for other people? The obvious answer may seem no, but let's think about it. I think there is one main way Brook could bring someone back to life, and that's awakenings. So Devil Fruit Awakenings is a concept where Devil Fruit users can awaken the fruit to increase the power exponentially. What makes awakenings so unique is that what the new power could be is unexpected. However, if you do look at certain patterns, you can notice that certain types of Devil Fruits tend to have similar awakenings. For example, Logias. We haven't seen that many awakened Logias. However, it is theorized that many other Logia users are awakened. And almost every top tier Logia we see is able to do one thing, control the weather. The battle between Aokiji and Akainu literally changed the island itself, which has made many people theorize that perhaps this is a byproduct or the main power of the awakening. But again, very speculative. The second is zones. We have seen some zone awakenings, mainly from the regular type of zones. I won't discuss unique zone awakenings because those are specific for them. However, there are enough regular zone awakenings to deduce a pattern. In Impel Down, the 3 guards who were zone types were awakened, and all 3 powers seem to be the same thing. When zones awaken, their physical strength increase. There seems to be some downside that the nature of the animal tends to take over the user's brain a little bit. Now, of course, it is more varied than that. However, that seems to be the main consensus. Number 1, their strength increase. Number 2, they become more animal-like. And number 3, potentially they gain a sort of unique power with it. And now we get to the third type, Paramecia. There aren't many Paramecia awakenings. I believe the main popular one is Doflamingo. And in his case, he was able to extend his Devil Fruit power beyond himself. The main way we see this is that he was able to transform separate objects into string. The same could be said about Katakuri. So Katakuri is a bit strange. His Devil Fruit is a special Paramecia, which means it's a Paramecia, but also behaves like a Logia. I don't know, honestly, I don't understand how that works. But let's just pretend it's a Paramecia. When awakened, he's able to, similar to Doflamingo, turn other objects into mochi and manipulate it. So there's a clear pattern here. Paramecias, when awakened, are able to extend their power onto the outside world and then manipulate it. So following this logic, what could be said about Brook's Devil Fruit? Okay, let's take one step back and actually investigate what Brook's powers even are. The revive fruit is very strange. It allows him to come back to life, obviously. However, the way in which he does so is unique. The actual main power doesn't seem to be resurrection, but manipulating his own soul. When he died, he became his soul, and was able to eventually find his way back to his body. After the time skip, he was able to, in his own words, manipulate his soul to do unique things, mainly attacking. Moreover, we actually do see him gain more control over his soul beyond his body, and essentially leave his body to move around. It is in a way similar to the Soul Fruit by Big Mom, where she can manipulate other people's souls, but I think the main difference is it's reversed. Big Mom can manipulate other people's souls and put them in objects. However, we never see her manipulate her own soul. Brook, on the other hand, can only manipulate his own soul and use that soul to do wacky things. And so, if the hypothetical rule of Paramecia Awakening still stands, how would a theoretical Brook Awakening look like? Here's where I think my theory may not hold water. So if Brook's Awakening works like other Paramecia Awakenings, he should be able to push his power beyond himself and control other souls. But I think that's the key point here. Control other souls. The way death in the One Piece world works is a bit unexplained. However, I'm assuming that once a person dies, their soul disappears with them. So, in my mind, how could Brook theoretically bring someone back to life if their soul is gone? So in that sense, no. I don't think that Brook could bring someone back from the dead. In fact, I think his awakening would work a lot more like Big Mom's powers. He can't bring back dead bodies because their soul is gone. However, he can manipulate living souls. And perhaps in that sense, he could actually bring someone back from the dead. Just not in the way you think. When awakened, he could manipulate a living body's soul, take it out, and put it in a dead body. Meaning someone else's soul could then pilot a dead body. So in the end, yeah, Brook could in a way resurrect someone. However, only the body. The soul is gone forever. But he could take someone else's soul and put it in theirs. So for example, if they ever find Gold Roger's corpse, he could perhaps take Luffy's soul and put it in his, which would mean that Luffy in Roger's body would have his strength, allowing him to create his own undead army. Or not. Maybe I'm wrong, who knows. Anyways, thanks for watching, and see you next time. Peace.